All right, welcome back to the Homestand Show. Thanks so much to Sarah Pariah for jumping in and dropping some F1 knowledge because me and this guy had no idea.
DRS. I now know what DRS means.
We now know what DRS is.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to tell you what it is because I don't remember.
Drag resistant.
Aerodynamics. Something to do with...
It's drag resistant. It's about the fin at the back.
Aerodynamics
drag.
and that. Yeah, Mikey knows what we're talking about.
I
Mikey Singh.
Big F1 guy.
Big F1 guy, big everything guy, big TFC guy. Mikey Singh of the 442 joins us fresh off of TFC training. So the first question I'm going to ask you, which I'm probably going to ask you until this guy gets back onto the pitch, Lorenzo Insigne, how's his progress been with his injury?
Yeah, so Bob Bradley says today that he is making progress. There's still no definite timeline. Obviously, the original timeline was 3 to 4 matches, and we're about halfway through that. So, he's back on the field this week doing work on his own. He's yet to rejoin the team. So Bob Bradley says we'll get a better timeline when that time does come. Hopefully that's next week.
Are you still feeling heat from TSC fans who are saying Insigne needs to get out of this club? I'm tired of this.
Yeah, you know what? That has faded a little bit because of the way that TFC is playing, right? When the team is performing in a decent way, then that noise all of a sudden gets a little bit more quiet. So it's faded.
He still has the red hair?
He just got the red hair, man. He just got the red hair. I wonder if that's a signal, a sign for his commitment.
Is it a rebrand?
That's what I thought too, honestly.
He's more visible now as well. It seems he's at other sporting events. He's showing his face more often, right? He's got the red hair. Is he settling now? Is he happy? Is it the new brand Insigne going to come back from injury and just take over this city?
Maybe that's the mental thing that you got to go through, right? That
your hair red.
That moment in your life where you go do something that's a little bit out there. But I feel like Lorenzo's always been a little bit out there. He's always been not afraid to try different things, different hairstyles. So I don't think this is anything too new, but maybe just a sign because of all the noise about him potentially wanting to leave. And maybe it's a sign of his reassuring that he's committed to this project with TFC.
You played a decent level of soccer once upon a time, many years ago. What was your go-to hairstyle? Like, were you on that before every match day? You got your fade done, or
I wasn't making that type of money.
I'm gonna say there was a full hawk in there.
There was absolutely
Ronaldo full hawk for sure.
100%.
Oh, Sean says you're using Dippity Doo gel. Yeah. That's what Sean still uses, by the way.
Dippity Doo.
1000% full hawk though.
Mikey was a baller, by the way. I do know.
No,
that's what he tells
so
me.
he
Mikey's
says.
not
I haven't seen it myself, but hey.
Just quickly, one more time on Insigne. All that noise about him leaving. Where was that noise coming from? Is that just rumors that random people are coming up with, or was there any?
Wrote about it. So
was it you, Ben? Like, were you making this up?
No, man. I was actually saying the opposite. I think that it was just noise, and it stems from just the fact that things haven't gone perfect here with Toronto FC, right? Nobody's hiding that. It hasn't been the start to his TFC career that he's wanted. There's off-field issues personally that he's dealing with.
Right.
He's coming over to a new environment overseas. Sorry, this earpiece is just
He's doing a great job with that.
But we'll just blame producer Sean.
Blame the producer.
So like obviously he was coming over a tough time adjusting to life here in North America. It's a massive change.
Yeah.
So when things aren't going smoothly, then naturally in the world that we live in, soccer's a big world, you're gonna have other teams that's talking about a guy like Lorenzo.
Him and Drake seem to be a good buddy. He's got that new OVO collab, the Lorenzo Insigne jacket. Will you be purchasing one, and what are your thoughts on it? Because I think it's absolutely...
Of course he will.
$158 for the jacket.
I will not be purchasing one of those. It's probably part of the agreement when Lorenzo signed that he would have this collaboration with Drake. The first original one dropped. That was still his collaboration, but this one's obviously personalized a lot more to him. Italians, I think, would be all over this. Personally, not my taste.
Okay. Yeah, $158 for a jacket. It looks like more of a velour suit. Maybe I'll rock it in here one day. You never know.
And the red hair, probably.
Yeah,
as well.
And with Mikey's gold chain, he's hiding right now. He's got a nice gold rope going. Okay, let's talk about some actual soccer. TFC in action this weekend against Charlotte FC. They're actually favorites, even money favorites against Charlotte FC. In terms of injury updates, besides Lorenzo Insigne, Akinola. What's the latest on him?
So he featured for Canada at their last match on Tuesday against Honduras. He had an assist with Jonathan Osorio. Really positive to see him, making strides in that regard. And, I asked Bob Bradley today what that moment going away on international duty, getting a big assist for your country, you think that adds a little bit of a pep in Akinola's step? And he said, yeah, that's something he's noticed when you go away on international duty, you have a positive, match like that can go on and add, like I said, a little bit of a jolt, a bit of energy into a guy who's needed this. Akinola hasn't had a great stretch with TFC since coming back from his torn ACL. Obviously, a lot of pedigree before that, but he just has 4 goals in I think 31 matches. So TFC, it's really important. Bob Bradley said this. It's really important that Ayo Akinola gets going for them because they do need more production out of their number 9.
I was going to say, who is TFC's preferred number 9?
Right now, that's it.
If all healthy, who's the preferred number 9?
I imagine it's Adama Diomande. He is still injured though, and he's dealing with apparently a couple different things. So there's, I think there is hope that he'd be back a little bit sooner than he has been, but he's not back yet. So I think when he's healthy, he is their starting striker. Obviously, a guy who used to play in the Premier League, a guy Bob Bradley knows very well, and a new signing for TFC this year, and offers a little bit of a different profile. But right behind him, I think neck and neck, to be honest with you, based on what I've seen so far, Ayo Akinola has an opportunity to really step up and cement that number 9 place, which is why I'm saying it's so important for him to build off that experience with Canada and keep that momentum going, because there is a chance here.
But aren't they just placeholders for maybe a summer move at some point for someone with a better resume? I know we talked about the budget, and they publicly, at least, they're saying we're kind of tapped out budget-wise. Might be a bit of money this summertime. But then there were rumors about Sergio Busquets coming a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
So if the right player comes around, I suspect MLSE will find the money somehow if they can fit it into that extremely complicated MLS salary cap. So I mean, how confident are you that these 2 number 9s vying for that top spot will be the man come October?
I'm not confident that they will be. That being said, as you mentioned, it is very much true that TFC do not have a ton of wiggle room with their salary budget. And on top of that, they don't have a ton of assets in which they can turn into salary cap space. They don't have a lot of players that are, expendable to the team that can bring in, further budget room. So to answer your question, there would have to be some other transactions that take place in order for them to bring in a new number 9, which I'm sure it's high on their priority list. They look at this roster and they see exactly what we see week in, week out, and it's that they don't have enough production from the guy that's in between Lorenzo Insigne and Federico Bernardeschi. But that's why I say, like, this next stretch of games, there could be an opportunity here. If it's not Akinola, then Diomande. If it's not Diomande, then DeAndre Kerr. One of these guys have the opportunity to step up and really cement that place as the number 9.
I want to ask you about Canada soccer and what you saw on Tuesday night. I was there at the game, freezing, but it was a great performance. I just want you to talk about how everybody was saying that they now want to face stiffer competition. Is that the route Canada has to go to compete and really go to that next tier that they need to reach to compete with the world's biggest?
Yeah, John Herman certainly thinks so, and we saw the last World Cup, and we know the only real tier 1 opponents that they face heading into that World Cup were Uruguay and Japan, 2 teams that, while they're good teams, and don't get me wrong, but they're not of the world's elite. The first taste of the world's elite they got was against Belgium, and while they did well to win that, or not win the game, but perform in that
Felt
game,
like they won the game though. Eh?
yeah, it did for sure. But they didn't win the game. That's the biggest takeaway. They have to find ways to win those types of matches when you're in the match against a team like Belgium. Take that next step and win the game, get to 3 points. So in order to do that, John Herman believes that the team needs more experience against higher level competition. I think as Canadians, when we look at Canada as a nation, as a soccer nation, that next step is facing bigger teams like that and having bigger teams want to play you. So yeah, I think that's a really important thing.
I just wonder at this point, with the reputation the CSA has and what happened last year with the Iran game and the Panama game, how many nations are going to be willing to come and play Canada? Because you're right, John Herman said great things in that post-match press conference. He made it very clear what he wants and expects. And it was also, as much as it was a message to his governing body, it was a plea, I think, to other nations saying, we're open for business. Come and get us. We want to play the biggest nations. On the same week that we saw Curacao play Argentina in Argentina, right? If Canada soccer can be creative, I don't see why Canada can't be a destination for some teams.
Absolutely.
Certainly on the road, right?
Yeah.
But there is that cloud hanging over Canadian soccer right now that might scare some nations off.
Yeah, I think there should be there's clouds hanging over Curacao. There's clouds hanging over Panama, who also faced Argentina earlier that week. There's no reason why Canada should not be able to get games like that if you're watching other Central American teams that whose confederations have, if not the same amount of issues, then different types of issues at their confederation. So there should be no excuse for Canada not taking this next step and really putting themselves out there to go and land big games like in Argentina, like a Brazil, just ahead of this upcoming next cycle, because it's so important with the World Cup coming up that they do get these tier 1 opponents.
Yeah, tier 1. That's what John Hurban wants, and I feel like it'd be a lot more difficult to bring these teams here to play in Canada rather than going somewhere else. But you're totally right. I didn't even think about that. Curacao going to Argentina. That should totally be a Canadian slot.
Make it a traveling bandwagon, the new Canadian team. Why not travel the world on these windows?
You
Go
guys
to Europe.
Remember after that Belgium game, Canada was the talk of the World Cup after that game.
For sure.
Because everyone was so surprised, right?
Oh, and what a 24 hours it was.
Yeah. You got to ride that momentum somehow, right?
You do. But at the same time, there's a lot of good nations in the world wanting those big money games. Canada going to Wembley to play England, is that going to fill Wembley? I'm not sure it is. However, Alphonso Davies is pretty big in Germany, pretty big in Munich. Is there an option there, perhaps? I mean, how great would that be?
Thinking outside the box, or
thinking outside
the box. Sure, and then who knows? Once Jonathan David, if he does make the move to the Premier League, he's going to become a name as well, right? So Canada is obviously showing up on the map. Ismail Kone is already there as well.
Is he ever?
What a player!
I think
looks great.
Very quickly, like 10 seconds. Breakthrough week for Ismail Kone internationally. Do you think?
Breakthrough week for Ismail Kone internationally.
As far as the national setup, I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely, he was the man of the match in that game, and he is the future of Canada's midfield.
Michael Singh of Room 442, thank you so much. We love having you on. Yeah, see you mañana. All right, coming up, we got Chris Johnson of North Star Bets. We're going to talk some hockey. I thought we were going to the end of the show. It's Chris Johnson of North Star Bets. We're going to talk hockey, the Leafs, and some NHLPA news. Yay, how exciting.